Welcome to another episode of Another Fat Guy Cooks. I am your fat guy, Andy Baker, and today we're going to be making bread. For the first time on Another Fat Guy Cooks, because I'm terrified. But I've been practicing, so let's see what we can do.
Another Fat Guy Cooks.
So, we're starting with 400 grams of flour. Standard white bread flour. Now, we're going to add to that 0.5% of that mass, which is 2 grams of yeast. 2% of that as salt, which is 8 grams. And 75% hydration, which is 75% of the 400, which is 300. Easy. So let's add those together. So we're going to do this on a scale, and we're going to keep everything nice and simple. And we're going to add 400 grams of strong white bread flour. There we go, 400.5 grams of flour. Perfect. The more exact you are, the more bob on your percentages will be. So we're going to zero that again. There we go. And now we're going to add 2 grams of yeast, which is 0.5% of 400. Yeah? 2.5, close enough. And now we need 8 grams of salt, which is 2% of the 400 grams. So zero again. 8 grams of salt. And that's it. Apart from the water, obviously. We'll do that in a sec. So, first thing we're going to do is just combine all of these ingredients really well. Now, I'm doing this in a clear bowl just so you can see what's going on. But all you really need to do this is just 2 metal bowls. A big one, like so, and a slightly less big one. Yeah, that's it. Big one and a slightly smaller one. I'll show you why in a minute. So, now this is all combined, we want to bang it back on our scale. Zero our scale again, and now we want to add 300 grams of warm, just normal tap water, but it needs to be about, I don't know the temperature, but it wants to be like bath water temperature, so like not really hot but still quite warm. Yeah, so we need 300 grams. I wish I could see this. There we go. Right, so, and we want to be pretty exact with this. There we go. Exactly 300 grams of water. Okay? And then we're just going to use our finger, this guy right here, and we're going to stir. Trying to get everything off the side of the bowl that we can, and we're just going to mix this together into a big, shaggy, messy lump. And try and get as much of it from the outside as we can. Try and get all the dry flour mixed in with it. And then if you've got too much dough stuck on your fingers, if you make a circle, pull it off like so. That usually works. If that doesn't work, I don't know, man. You'll figure it out. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to leave this dough covered tightly with a smaller bowl. Like so. Yeah, and we're also going to weight it to make sure that it's as airtight as you can get it, and you want to leave it in a warm place. Now, if you live in a reasonably warm climate, that will be fine. If you've got your central heating on, that's also fine. But you want to leave it somewhere that's not cold, basically. So I'm going to take this inside, and this is going to sit for about half an hour. And in that time, it's going to start to rise, it's going to start to puff up, it's going to start to get bigger, and then I'll show you what we're going to do then. This is, I mean, most of the hard work is now done. So I will be back in about half an hour when this has risen. Okay, so this has been chilling out for about 25 minutes. And as you can see, it's risen a little bit. Not loads, but just a bit. So what we're going to do now is just wet our fingers and our hand, and we're going to help the gluten to form a little bit. And this isn't kneading, this is just giving it a hand. So it's still no knead, but it's not no give it a hand. So all you're going to do is get under it, get it all off the bottom of the pot, get under it, pull the piece out, give it a little stretch, and then fold it over. Pull the piece out, give it a little stretch, fold it over. Spin, pull out, fold over, spin, pull out, and you're just going to do that maybe half a dozen times. Pull out, fold over, always pull out, always pull out, fold over, that's it. So then, you're going to recover it, and you're going to do that about, I mean basically this all depends now on how much you give a shit and how good you want your bread to be. If you're looking for quick and easy, maybe do that for about the next 3 hours, do it another 3 or 4 times, and then we move on to the next bit. If you want it to be really, really good, do it over the next 6 hours, maybe do it another 10 times, and then leave it in your fridge overnight to cold ferment, yeah? So whichever way you want to do it is absolutely fine. You will still end up with delicious bread at the end of it. It's just it'll be a bit more delicious if you take more time. Time equals tasty shit, okay? So I'm going to be back when I've done all of that. I'm not going to film every fucking little step along the way because it'll take forever. So I'll be back when we are ready to do our final proof, which is when we're going to get it ready to go into the oven. So that will either be later tonight or it'll be first thing tomorrow morning, depending on how I feel. But we'll see. So I will see you then. Okay, so it is now the next day. We did about 3-4 hours worth of the pullover stretchy things that I showed you, and then this went in the fridge overnight, covered, and then this morning I took it out and let it come back up to room temperature, and that's where we are now. Okay, so let's have a look. Now, as you can see, the dough has grown a little. He's now very bouncy, very springy, and very full of air, which is exactly what we want. So you'll need a sheet tray upside down and a metal bowl that can go in your oven that will fit over the top of your upside down sheet tray without overlapping either side, so it creates a seal, right? We are going to get ourselves a dishcloth, clean one, or you can use the same one over and over again like I do. So as you can see, this one's a bit powdery. That's because what I've done is I've covered it in flour and I've just rubbed flour into it, which basically makes it non-stick, the dough, which is what we need. So shake off any excess, which is fine because we need some flour on this surface. Put this to one side for a sec. Bit more flour out here. And then we want to get our dough, just working around the outsides to separate it. And we want to turn it out onto the counter. Okay, this can go. Okay, so pop any bigger bubbles. A little bit of flour on top. And then what we're looking to do is make this into a nice round ball. And all we're doing is tucking underneath and stretching the top. So we're going to do that until we've got a nice ball, flip them upside down, and then pinch the bottom together to seal it so it looks a bit like a pasty on the bottom, yeah? And then we're going to stick it back on, so you've got the flat side on the top, and then we're going to spin it and work the bottom underneath again and go around in a circle, and that stretches the top out even more. So we're going to do that a little bit. Okay, just pop any bubbles that you've got on top. So we're going to work that round until you've got a nice tight finish on the top. Right, get your bowl. Towel goes over the top. Tuck it inside like so. And then with your taut side, your good side on the top, you're going to drop that into your bowl. And then take your pan, try and get it so all your cloth is over the edges, like so. Pan goes on top, and then something to weigh that down with, so you get a nice tight seal. And we're going to leave that for about another hour to do its final proof. Yeah? So I will be back in about an hour, and then I'll show you how it goes in the oven. Be right back. Okay, so we have let our dough proof for the final time for about another hour, and now we're going to get it ready for baking. So you do not want to touch your dough at this point. This is why we've set everything up like this, so you don't have to actually touch your dough with your hands. Okay, so take your weight off the top, put it to one side, and now what we're going to do is we're going to invert this whole thing and turn it upside down. Yeah, just like that. Okay, we're going to take our bowl off, and then we're going to take our cloth off as well, and if we need to just wiggle it a little just to make sure it's central, then that's fine, but you really don't want to be touching it with your hands. Now, you want to get your bowl, you want to get a little bit of water, put it in your bowl, swoosh it round so the inside of your bowl is wet, and then this goes over the top, and that sits there, done. Okay, so this, as it is going to go to a 400°F preheated oven. The second it goes in and you close the door, drop it down to 300, because then I'll stop it burning. And then after 25 minutes, you're going to open it up, you're going to take the metal lid off the top, and then you're going to put it back in for about another 25 minutes until it's the right level of brownness that you want. Okay, so I'm going to go and do all of that now, and then I will be back with a fresh, warm, well, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bread out, let it cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it back in, we'll cut it open, and we'll eat it, and we'll see how well we did. So I'll be back in about, total, about 45-50 minutes, about an hour, something like that. Alright? First thing, before we get into unveiling our bread, the recipe that I've used today is from an amazing chef called J. Kenji Lopez Alt, who has his own YouTube channel, has a lot more views and subscriptions and everything than mine, because he's an actual real chef, not just a fat guy who's trying to get attention. So go check him out. The link's down in the description. What else? Oh, the reason we put water in the underside of the bowl, by the way, is just so it will steam when it's in the oven, which gives us a nice good crust on the bread and sort of seals everything in. So that's why we did that. One thing I deviated from slightly in Kenji's recipe was that he added a drop of vinegar to his dough before sort of mixing it together along with everything else. He forgot to do that in his video, but then talked about it afterwards. I actually then forgot to do it in my video, so I'm now talking about it afterwards. The little extra acidity helps in the fermentation process and also gives you a bit of a better crumb to your bread. I forgot to do it. If you remember to do it, good on you. Just like a literal drop of vinegar when you're putting your water and stuff in. Should do. Right, shall we see what we've got? Drum roll, maybe? And there we have it. There we have our beautiful, easy, home-cooked, rustic loaf of bread. And fuck me, does it look sexy. Now obviously how it looks on the outside is only one thing. You know, you want the beautiful, light, airy crumb on the inside as well. So we don't actually know if we've got that yet. So we're going to give that a go now and see what we've got. One thing that you want to listen for when you take your bread out of the oven is this. What you're listening to now is all the cracks and the pops and everything of the crust forming on the bread as the steam releases. And if yours does this, then you've done a good job. I could literally listen to this for hours. What we're going to do is slice them open, cut ourselves a nice big slice, bit of butter, bit of flaky salt, and see how it is. So let's see what we've got. Oh, look at you. Look at the pretty boy. Who's a pretty, pretty boy? Yes, he is. Look at that. How fucking sexy does that crumb look? Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful crumb. So let's cut ourselves a chunk and try it. Check that out. Beautiful. Nice and stretchy. Nice and bouncy. Mmm. So, bread is literally my favourite way of eating butter. Let's get a half of this. Some nice unsalted butter, because you don't want to double salt your butter. Bang that on there. Little sprinkle of flaky salt. And then this is going in here. Mmm. 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 That's so good. Oh, I love that smell. That's it, guys. That is no knead rustic bread. I don't know, call it what you want. Please check out my Twitter @HackOddity. Please check out my Patreon, patreon.com/AFGC. Please check out my Twitch, twitch.com/HackOddity. Check me on all of the things. And yeah, have a great fucking day. And eat some bread, goddammit.
Another fat guy